4 teams have a 100% record in the African Cup of Nations qualifiers, and they'll all be looking to maintain it this weekend. Welcome to M10 Football Webcast. I'm your host, Brian Lee. Alongside I have Duane Dell'Oca. Duane, first up, Guinea, top of Group B, maybe surprisingly after beating Nigeria 1-0. Do you think they can maintain that this weekend up against Madagascar?
Yeah, Brian, I certainly think this Guinea side could continue and uphold that 100% record. I mean, following up that surprise 1-0 victory over Nigeria, they followed it up with a 4-1 away win over Ethiopia and Addis Ababa. That's not the easiest of fixtures for any visiting team. They're up against Madagascar now, who find themselves bottom of the group, so it should be almost a guaranteed 3 points. But they're not the easiest team to play on their own island, and that's what Guinea have before them now.
Well, certainly Guinea do have some star players coming to the top of their game. But what about Nigeria, Duane? Can they beat Ethiopia at home?
I think there's a different change in Nigeria. I think there's a bit of a mindset change as well. Samson Siasia back in the Nigerian setup, and he's certainly looking to provide a few more opportunities for some of these real stars. I mean, the likes of Osazo Ademwingie, here's a man who's playing week in and week out for West Bromwich Albion. He's taken them off the bottom of the table. He's scored 10 odd goals in the Premier League. He's setting up goals. He's creating. Martin's having scored in the Carling Cup final. I think Nigeria should walk this match.
It may be a comfortable victory for them, Duane, but I do still think they have to watch out for Fikru, SuperSport United striker, who scored their last goal in their win over Madagascar. But moving on now to another powerhouse in Africa, Cameroon, presently second in their group, being led by Senegal, who have yet to lose a match. What do you see happening in this group over the weekend?
Brian, this for me is the clash of the qualifiers. Senegal up against Cameroon. Cameroon emerged victorious the last 3 times these sides have met. But Senegal have a better record over the years. But when you go back to look at their last matches, an away win for Senegal, 4-2 over the DRC, is very impressive. Mamadou Niang actually scored a hat-trick in that match. Looking for a hat-trick in the previous match, though, Samueleto easily could have had one. He scored twice early on. And then when Cameroon were awarded a penalty against Mauritius, he actually said to one of the teenagers, Eric Choupo-Moting, have the ball, take the opportunity. Moting slotted it. A comfortable victory for Cameroon over Mauritius. But Samuel Eto'o, 46 goals now internationally for the Cameroon captain, and we wait to see if he can claim that 50th goal in these qualifiers.
Well, Duane, Senegal have certainly shown in front of goal they are no muck, scoring 11 goals in only 2 games, which included that 7-0 whipping of Mauritius. The other game in the group sees DR Congo up against Mauritius. Should be a comfortable win for DR Congo, their first of the group. Moving on to Ivory Coast, also undefeated, 2 wins in a row. How are they going to get on in their group match this weekend?
Well, Cote d'Ivoire have already made light work of Burundi and Rwanda. In their last match against Rwanda, nice to see Emmanuel Abua getting back on the score sheet for this Ivorian side. But also Gervinho. Gervinho has been the star in the absence and the on and off presence of the likes of Didier Drogba. He and Solomon Kalou have been the 2 players who've used their great pace and creativity to wonderful effect for Cote d'Ivoire. Their combination play has seen plenty goals in recent times. I don't think they're going to have any trouble at home.
Right, Duane, moving on to the defending champions of the African Cup of Nations, Egypt, at the bottom of their group at the moment, up against South Africa this weekend. Tough test for them.
Yeah, well, Egypt, a 1-1 draw in Cairo to Sierra Leone, and of course the shock away loss to Niger in Niamey sees them only on 1 point at the moment after 2 matches. But while some groups have the leaders at 6 points and the bottom feeders at 0 points, this group is quite different. South Africa only on 4 points at the moment and well within reach of this Egyptian side. In fact, Egypt, depending on the number of goals scored, could even go top of the group if results go their way come the end of this weekend. But this Egyptian side is not to be messed with. They are missing a number of players, but ultimately though it's the disappointment of being where they are that might very well spur them on to victory. South Africa want to maintain that control, and the bottom line is in the qualifiers, if you win your home matches, you've got a great chance of qualifying. South Africa needs to focus on gaining the 3 points against Egypt here. That will set them onto a great platform to perhaps qualify indeed for the 2012 African Cup of Nations.
Speaking of qualification, Duane, provided Botswana win their game this weekend and Malawi lose to Togo, they could be the first team to qualify for the 2012 African Cup of Nations. What do you make of this group so far?
Well, this is a 5-team group, so every time there's a qualifier, 1 team does sit out. This time it's Tunisia, who currently lies second, but they are 6 mammoth points behind Botswana as it stands. And you rightly say, if Togo beat Malawi, there is no chance for anybody to beat Botswana in this group. There's certainly a number of points should they beat Chad, which they should do. Chad in their 5 matches have only managed to pick up 2 draws, and I think in terms of Botswana, the way they've played, the fact that they remain unbeaten over the 5 matches so far in the qualifiers, that they could could gain all 3 points. I'm rooting for Botswana to win, and maybe there's a bit of sentiment involved, but yeah, I'd like to see Togo beat Malawi just to have a Southern Africa team qualify emphatically and early on for the Africa Cup of Nations. It would be a first for Botswana should they qualify for this tournament.
Thanks, Duane, for your insight. For the rest of us, for more in-depth analysis, make sure to read up on all the news on mtnfootball.com. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Brian Lee.